Well, welcome to another episode of In the Life with MightyFan, and as I said in my last video, which was the Tampa Bay Rays City Connect Jersey Hat Combo Wombo unboxing, I am on my way to Jersey. We are going to the Cherry Hill Mall. Just gonna look around. It's been a minute since I've been there, so it's a gloomy Sunday. I mean, every time you think we're going to be getting to the real spring weather, Mother Nature has other ideas. It's been cold and dreary and very... Oh, that's not going to work. Alright. Very Gotham-y out there and just, ugh. That coupled with the fact that the Phillies play on Sunday Night Baseball tonight on ESPN, national television rather. They're playing those San Francisco Giants. Rez and Bay Area and Angel and all you Giant, Hazor, all you Giant fans, all you Bay Area fans there. Yeah? Well, we've been kicking their ass so far. It's the Giants have not enjoyed their trip to Philly so far, and now, of course, I opened my mouth. Of course, tonight the Giants will whip up on the Phillies, and they actually have the pitching favors the Giants tonight because they got, I believe, Webb on the mound, who's one of their better pitchers, versus Taijuan Walker, who you just never know what you're going to get out of him. So I'd say on paper tonight, starting pitching-wise, favors the Giants. But, offensive-wise, I mean, look, the Phillies have been swinging those hot bats. I know that Trey Turner is going to be out for about 6 weeks, and that sucks with the injury. But Alec Boehm has been as hot as a firecracker, 17-game hit streak. I know he got a little something yesterday. I think they just took him out for precautionary reasons. They might even not play him tonight for precautionary reasons, So we'll see. Guys have been playing really good. The Phillies are, if I remember correct, 23-11. They're in first place in the NL East over the Hotlanta Braves, who have hit a bit of a cold stretch by a game and a half. I mean, look, it's May. I don't really look at the standings until you're not in baseball. You're really not supposed to look at that until after Memorial Day. But we're in the month of Memorial Day, and usually the Phillies are like in second or third place by now in previous years. So they've gotten off to a pretty good start. After a rough couple weeks, they have found their way. And my guy Ranger again last night. I'm telling you, Cy Young this year, Ranger Suarez. I know that guy in Chicago, Monica, is pretty good, but... there's other good pitchers in the NL too, but Ranger Danger, 6-0 with a low ERA. He's got the wins, he's got the ERA. His overall numbers aren't like eye-popping, like he doesn't strike a ton of people out and whatever, but he just does his job. He always has. Whether he was coming out of the bullpen, he was a closer, he was a reliever, now a starter. He's everyday steady Ranger. My buddies up in 301 were dressed as Power Rangers last night. I did have a ticket to the game last night, and I did a business decision and decided not to go. It was miserable last night. It was rainy and cold, and I was having my lawn done. I go through Angie, and the previous pro didn't make it, so I wanted to make sure that not only did my pro make it, he came a couple days early. He showed up a couple days early to do it, and so it's all done now. It's all purdy, as Slim would say. It's purdy now, the lawn. But it was we had a little bit of rain since the last time it was mowed, and it was getting kind of marshy. It was I'm not talking about Mr. Marsh on the Phillies, but it was Yeah, it was starting to grow a little swamp there, so it was it was good to get the lawn mowed, and I just wanted to make sure everything was good. And also, I just looked at the weather. I'm like, I have other games. I think I can sit this one out tonight. Save the $25 parking and whatever for food. Just I ordered out. So, but today is Cinco de Mayo. So happy Cinco de Mayo to those who celebrate, and also it's National Hoagie Day. I think it's interesting that both fall on the same day, but it's National Hoagie Day. So I had a hoagie last night. I actually got two of them. I thought one was a little smaller than the other. It's the first time I you know, sometimes I'll order through Grubhub, and I hadn't tried this place before. I forget the name of it. I get the hoagies in, and they're both the same size. I'm like, oh, okay. But one was like a breakfast hoagie, so I saved that for today. So you know, it's a good thing I did that, because now I have a hoagie to eat on National Hoagie Day. And I have, I'll go straight. I have stuff to make tacos for Cinco de Mayo, so we're going to celebrate both today. I'm a very festive person. So, on the way to Cherry Hill Mall. Haven't been there in a bit. But I thought, you know, today's as good a day as any to get out and go. And I want to take you all with me for the ride, you know, so you're all very lucky for that, you know. You know, who does stuff for you? MightyFan does. Just remember that, you know, in the like section. So I'm on my way there, and in the rain. Got my favorite hockey team from the Western Conference on, the Avalanche. I didn't think I would be wearing a hockey sweater this, you know, into May, but it's hockey sweater weather for sure. Hockey sweater wearing weather. It's cold, dreary, rainy. It's a good day to wear long sleeves. I really wasn't feeling a hoodie today, so I'm like, all right, well, hockey, you know, sweaters have long sleeves, so I'll just put one of those on. So I got my Peter Forsberg jersey on, and I have my vintage Avalanche logo athletic snapback on. Now, I've had this hat since their cup years. This hat goes back to the early cup years, I should say, the 90s into that 2000, you know, early 2000 years when they won. And of course, they won a few years ago, but this goes back to when Forsberg was on the team. His first time around, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be mistaken, I'm mistaken on a lot of stuff. I believe he went back to finish his career with the Avalanche. I know he played with the Flyers for a bit. He was drafted by the Flyers, and of course, he was part of the trade that got the Flyers Eric Lindros those many years ago. And of course, he had a Hall of Fame career mainly with the Avalanche. His face was printed on money in Sweden, so you know you're doing something right when that happens. But he was traded, you know, to the Flyers. So he did play part of his career in the orange and black, but he you know, he had this foot injury. It just never healed. And he obviously, when he played, he was really good, but he just wasn't the same, you know, from his early years in Colorado. And I think he bounced around a little bit. I forget. I know he's on Nashville. That would be kind of an interesting jersey to have. And then I think he went back to Colorado for like the very end. I don't know if he played a lot, but he finished his career, I believe, with the Avs. And it's fittingly, you know. I mean, he was most of his great years are with the Avalanche. He should have finished his career there. His numbers retired by the Avalanche. Great player. Wish he had more of his career with the Flyers, but, you know, the Avalanche, you know, they were pretty shrewd. You know, they saw something, and they got him in that trade for Mr. Lindros. Of course, back then, the Avalanche were the Quebec Nordiques. That's when the trade happened, and I think, Ricci went to the Nordiques. I think Hextall was part of that trade, if I'm not mistaken. And that young, unknown Swede named Peter Forsberg. Yeah, it worked pretty well for the Avalanche. Yeah, look, Lindros was a great player for the Flyers. He had some, you know, concussion problems at the end, but he was a freight train who could score. You know, he was a great player, Lindros. It's a shame, you know, at the end, you know, what he was, but when he was in his prime, I mean, he was spectacular. It's just a shame they couldn't, as is with most Philly teams, we couldn't take that next step. Sans for the 90s, the 97 Cup Finals, where they got swept by Colorado's good friends, Detroit. Well, if you haven't seen video of those two teams going at it back in the day, it's must watch. The Avalanche and the Red Wings battles. Oh, that's when hockey was hockey. Watch some of those battles on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. There's a really cool series, docu-series that was done too for the Avalanche and Red Wings back in those battle days. And who was it? It was Claude Lemieux and McCarty. Oh boy. You want to see something, you go watch those highlights on YouTube. You had the goalies fighting each other, Patrick Wall and Chris Osgood. Yeah. Oh, it was great. It was great theater back then. That's when you had, like, see, that's, I still say, and I know that there's rivalries, but with players just moving from team to team and becoming buddy and just, you don't have that. Like back then, teams hated each other. I mean, really, sports hated each other. Like there was blood. I mean, you know, it was vicious back then. And really, all the sports. It wasn't just limited to hockey, but hockey. I mean, they just tore into each other. And the Avalanche and Red Wings weren't the only ones, but they were some of the poster childs for that back in the day. They did not like each other from the very inception, from when Colorado first became a franchise from Quebec. That rivalry was born, and it boiled over. I mean, there were cheap shots and stuff, you know, that went both ways, and just. Was it Draper, I think, got cheap shot. His face was all fucked up. And it was, you know, and that's what really kind of boiled it over to the melting pot or whatever. I think it was Draper. And, I mean, Lemieux did it. He was public enemy #1 in Detroit for many years. And I think in that documentary they had Lemieux and McCarty doing the, you know, the commentary for, you know, they were saying, they were like being interviewed about it, and I think the interview was done in Detroit, so, you know, Lemieux still got booed by the Detroit Red Wing fans who were in the attendance. So it was in front of a live audience, and then of course they did all this. They had all this like footage. I think it was an HBO doc, if I'm not mistaken, and they had all this footage from the '90s and the early 2000s with those two teams going at it. It was spectacular. I loved it. But I like sports docs in general, but ones that were like from a time that I certainly remember, and teams and players that I remember, it just makes it even that much better, you know? But yeah, I just went with Mr. Forsberg today, and, you know, the Avalanche are still awaiting the winner tonight. I think Game 7, Stars and Golden Knights. And we'll see what happens in as we hit the second round of the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs too. I saw Minnesota, Jake. Your Timberwolves got a win last night against the defending champs. Now, I've always liked the Wolves because their animal's the wolf, right? So that works for me. But it'd be cool to see them. It'd be cool to see them keep moving, keep being progressive, and going forward. It would kind of suck too, because my trials and tribulations as a Sixers fan, and yet another franchise that wins one before I see one, that would, even if it is the Timberwolves, a team that I like, and of course their animal is one of my favorite animals, so, but it would figure. And yes, yet again, the Sixers had the Sixer, and this time they did it in the first round instead of the second round, but, oh my, we gave someone a bath. Maybe, I don't know. I saw a lot of water. But hope no one was walking. Yeah, that was a pretty good splash too. Where was it going? Yes, the Sixers playoff utility. Hey, listen, I know there's been a lot of talk, in recent, days or whatever, the last week, about the Sixer fans, not going, and all the tickets going to Knicks fans when the games were at the Wells Fargo Center. And look, I'm not going to defend it. If I had a ticket to the playoff game, I would have gone. But that's me. I mean, I'm a diehard Sixer fan. If I had playoff tickets, I would go. The problem is, it was a perfect storm. What you have to understand, and I think that, and again, I'm not using it as an excuse or a crutch, but what people have to understand about the Sixer fans is we've just seen so much crap over the last, it's just one letdown after another. This team, for whatever reason, can't win home playoff games. In 7 years, and it's one heartbreak after another. And eventually the fan base, and I can't speak for everybody, eventually the fan base is going to reach the boiling point where they just had enough. How much heartache could we really see? How much heartache do we want to see? It's different. It's a completely different mentality at an Eagles playoff game, at a Phillies playoff game. You're never going to see a takeover by another franchise. I don't care how close they are. Giant fans, Mets fans, that it will not happen in those playoff games. Because those teams were given a little bit of a leash. Because, first of all, the Eagles are the lifeblood of Philly sports. It doesn't matter what these other teams do. They can win 10 titles over the next 20 years. The Eagles are always going to be numero uno. Always. It's a football town. This is an Eagles town. We love all of our teams. We really do. But the Eagles, it's a whole nother mentality. So you're not going to see a fan base take over the link for a playoff game. With the Phillies, it's a love-hate relationship. But it's different for playoff games. The Phillies have always done well drawing for playoff games for the Philly fans because there's still hope with baseball. It's like we haven't been kicked in the groin year after year after year. They've had some success. They've gone the World Series. They won a World Series in 2008. And obviously the Eagles won a Super Bowl in Super Bowl 52, and they got to another one a few years ago. So they're given a little more leash. The Sixers haven't won since 1983. And in most years, they haven't come close. The only year they did was 2001, when they made that miracle run with Iverson and, lost to a dynasty Lakers team. But every other year, they haven't come close. They haven't been granted that gravitas the way the Eagles, the way the Phillies have been granted. I'll even say the Flyers. The Flyers usually, when they get to when they make the playoffs, usually do pretty decent, as far as drawing it to, Flyer fans. It's also a different mentality with hockey, too. It just is. You always feel like you have a chance because it's not a sport where it's constant scoring. You know, in basketball, it's constant scoring. So you have a cold stretch, you're going to be in trouble. And the Sixers usually find ways of having cold stretches at home. But it's been 7 years. And going into this, 6 years in a row of just constant disappointment, constant letdowns. I do think this year was different because going into the year, I don't think there was that championship hope that we had in recent years, right? But still, it's you're in that series, and again, I'm not trying to apologize for our fans. You're down 0-2. It's not looking good. It's looking like it's the same crap as it's been, and the fans just get tired of it. And also couple the fact that there is an open market for tickets, and the Knicks are in New York, which is very close in proximity to Philadelphia, so their fans gobbled up the tickets. Again, I'm not saying it's right. It was heartbreaking for me to see one of our stadiums in a playoff game be overrun by another fan base, and not only overrun, but to the point where they're, you know, in the outside corridors, you know, really, you know, talking shit, you know, to the Philly fans, and you know, saying stuff about Joel Embiid and what have you. You know, Knicks fans, listen. I think Knicks fans need to remember something, that your team, you talk about futility, and I know they won the series, and you know, the Villanova All-Stars did it for you. I get that, you know, but your team hasn't won since the early 70s. The Sixers at 83. Your stretch has been longer than ours. Your team has had multiple playoff disappointments over the years. Same as the Sixers, and I know a lot of it's most recent years. But you talk about, and I remember, because remember those 90s Bulls, I was a big Jordan guy, that was my team. And I know that those Bulls wreaked havoc on the Knicks back in the 90s. Also, I know that Reggie Miller and the Pacers had some fun with them too. So the Knicks have been a bit of a playoff disappointment themselves over the years. So coming in here and beating their chests and going on and on about the Knicks and we're the Knicks, well, okay, we'll see what type of attitude you guys have if you're down in a series to the Pacers, let's say. Another one of those boogeyman teams to you guys over the years. So we'll see if they keep up that energy. You know, Knicks fans, listen, they were starting to turn. You know, when the Sixers won that Game 5 in the Garden in front of Mr. Tracy Morgan flipping off Tyrese Maxey and Ben Stiller like doing some sort of cat hissing thing or whatever to him. All right, those fans were starting to feel a little way. You know, they were starting to turn a little bit. You know, they were getting on Brunson. They were starting to say stuff. They weren't feeling as strong then. And the Knicks won, and now they got they found their muscles again. But I'm telling you, your franchise, and I know Knicks fans know this, your franchise has been a major disappointment for many years. Now, it was run wrong and all that and this and that, but for most years, they haven't been it. Now they're starting to find it because they have some good players who came from Villanova, and they have a system that's working for those players, right? They're not there just yet. Now, they might go to the Eastern Finals because, I don't know, the Pacers, could the Pacers give them a series? Yeah, they could. But the Knicks have the kind of team that's scrappy, that defensive, that rebounding kind of team that, might get them to an Eastern Final. More than likely, you're not going to beat Boston. So the championship drought is going to continue for the Knicks, as it's continued for the Sixers. So, look, I mean, oh boy, when you go into school, you just have to, this is why you have to keep your head on the swivel. There's a lot of idiots that drop on this school. But look, I mean, you guys won the series. I'll give you credit, but, to go around like you guys are going to win the championship, I mean, there's a long way to go. And I know the Knicks have finally done something in a good way. So you guys have had all these years of build up, in you that now it's kind of bubbling out. you found your fandom again, which is good, which is nice. But look, you still have a ways to go. Don't be popping champagne corks just yet, because there's that beast in Boston, and they're still out there. And you might get by the Pacers. We'll see, unless the Pacers reinvent the Reggie Miller years, like it was back then, the choke years. You might get by them. I don't know about Boston. And I have much love for those Villanova guys. I do. I watched them at Villanova. But I don't know. That Celtics team is a whole other beast. And But going back to the Sixer and the Sixer fans, I can't look. I'm not trying to make excuses for it, but I can understand, because there is only so much that you can get punched in the gut and just keep going back and going back and going back and rah rah. It's what's the old saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. That's the way these fans were thinking. Like, look, this is going to be another year. They saw an opportunity of selling some tickets and overpricing some tickets to Knicks fans, and they did it. Again, am I proud of it? Am I proud of our fan base for that? No, but I can understand the argument. It's 7 straight years of the same crap with this team. They don't get over that hump. And I don't think it all falls on Embiid. I think that now more than ever, it falls on the ownership, on the management, to go out and get those other players to surround him. Because listen, Embiid's going to be hurt every year. This is just what it is. There's death taxes in Joel Embiid getting hurt at the end of the season or during the season, and it limits him in the playoffs. Now, the man still put up 30 a game. But you can tell he was hollow. He couldn't jump. The rebounds were not as, and he did all right at the end, but you could tell he wasn't the same player. But he's never going to be the same player. The Joel Embiid that we have in October, November, December, maybe even January, is not going to be the same Joel that we're going to have in April, May, when we need to make these playoff runs. So it really comes down on this, on the organization, as they would say in hockey. It comes down on the powers that be, on the GM, on ownership, on whatever this partnership is of the Daryl Morey, whatever the conglomerate of people in front, in charge of making decisions on player personnel, it's on them more than ever now to get other players. Because the one constant with this team in the playoffs, as much as it is Joel Embiid being injured, being not the player that he could be in the playoffs that he is in the regular season, is that the role guys are never role guys. They never get anything off the bench. It's the same every year. They never get enough contributions from other players that, okay, if Joel is limited, well, player X, Y, and Z can pick up the slack and get you some buckets, can get you some rebounds, can make some plays. We don't have that. And even in the years when they had, that number 25 here and even Jimmy Butler and all, they still didn't get enough from other players. And we have to find that formula. I don't know who it is, but they have to find that, because that's the only way this team's going to have any success. You can put whatever coach you want. Joel and Maxey are going to be really good, all-star players year after year, but you need other players to step up in the playoffs. You see it with every other team that's in the second round now, and you'll see it throughout the rest of the playoffs. It's not always going to be the superstars. Look, you need your superstars to be superstars in the playoffs, you do, but you need contribution from other players. When those superstars are sitting down, getting their breathers, you still need other players to step up. And it's like every year when Joel takes his breather, when Maxey takes his breather, who's doing anything? It's like that's when the other team always goes on a run and the Sixers can't stop it. Every year. So we need to find players that are going to give you those solid minutes. Even if it's just 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes a game. We need those minutes. And again, that's up to Daryl Morey. That's up to those, the people that make those decisions to do it. The one thing about the Sixers this year is they have like a blank canvas in front of them. Thank God the Tobias Harris contract's over with. My God. I hated that contract from the beginning. And I'm not hating on Toby because anyone would have taken the money. Anyone. It's like hitting the lottery. Of course you're going to take the money. But the man just couldn't. He gave you nothing in that Game 6. This guy, come on, man. You talk about an appropriate way to end a guy's career with a franchise. That was Harris in Game 6. I mean, gave you absolutely nothing. 0 points in that game. Come on, man. I mean, you can luck your way into a basket once in a while. Took 2 shots. And that's the mentality that this team, listen, that's the mentality I'm glad is gone. I'm glad because you know what? If he was just afraid of the moment, I'm glad he's gone. We don't need that on this team. We don't. Give me some guys. Listen, I don't need all-stars. I need solid players who are going to be dogs on this team who are going to give us those good minutes, who are going to make a difference in playoff series. And I can't sit here today and tell you it would have exactly been Pat Bev and Morris who they traded away. But, I mean, those teams lost in the first round too. But, I mean, maybe they could have helped a little bit. Maybe they could have given you some rebounds. Maybe they could have made some defensive stops and not let Brunson just get whatever he wanted in those last few games. Maybe someone jumps out on Josh Hart before he gets a wide open 3. I don't know. But it's the hamster wheel. It's the same thing year after year after year after year. And then, you know, of course, you got people saying trade Joel. I'm not in that camp because I know you're not going to get fair value in return. And that's going to set your franchise back. Listen, I know I'm as disappointed as everyone is with him being hurt every year. It sucks. You don't have this on other teams. Jokic is healthy every year. Tatum and Brown, they're usually healthy every year for the Celtics. All these other teams and their superstars are always there, right? And we got the one that just is just hurts every year. He gets hurt every year. But I don't think you move a player like that because you're not going to get any kind of fair value, and then we're starting from scratch again. And it's like, damn, man. I mean, I know the playoff disappointments have been disappointments, but I'd rather build around Joel and Maxey and still try to go for it. You have a good coach in Nick Nurse. I certainly think he's better than Doc Rivers. Now, I don't know if that's saying a whole lot, but I just think you got to build this team. And they have an opportunity to do that this offseason because they're going to have really only a handful of players under contract, Joel and Maxey, and maybe a handful of other players. You do have to pay Maxey at some point, and he's probably going to get that max contract. I think he's earned it. But, you know, that's still a year or so away. But you can go out and be a player and get some other players on this team, not just all-star, you know, whatever the players that they're going to be linked to that might not ever come here, that might be like teases this offseason. LeBron, you know, of course, they're going to be linked to him. They're going to be linked to Paul George, I'm sure, or Kawhi Leonard. There's even talks about Jimmy Butler. I would love to see Jimmy back. But, you know, I'm in the mode where I believe it when I see it. And I'm not a big Paul George guy. So if they get him, I'm like, okay, is that an upgrade over Tobias Harris? The steering wheel's an upgrade over Tobias Harris. Okay? So I don't know how much that's saying. And here's another guy that gets hurt every year. Same with Kawhi Leonard. Now look, if they're Sixers, I'm going to root for them because I'm a fan. That's what I'm going to do it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, we're going for the championship now because we got Paul George. Go Embiid, 2 guys that get hurt every year. Yeah, let's go. Go Sixers, you know. It's what you put around those players. It's the role players. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm more interested in seeing how they build, how they fill out the roster. They need a strong bench. They haven't had a strong bench in years. They need a better bench. They need guys that are going to come in and give them solid minutes because you can't play Joel every minute of the game. You're going to kill the guy. All right, Maxey too. I know he's young and he has a lot of youthful, you know, energy, but you can't. These guys need their rest. Even in playoff games, you need to give them a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there. keep them fresh. But the other guys got to come in and contribute. Contribute. And I'm so jelly. I see it on other teams, and I see the Sixers, and they do nothing. Our starters sit down, and we get nothing out of the guys coming off the bench. Other teams, I see it all the time. And I know Buddy Hield had a good game in Game 6, and I give him credit for that. They sat him out. I wouldn't have done it. I mean, he is a guy that can pop a three here and there. I know he was struggling, but I give him credit. He played. He balled out in Game 6. It wasn't him that they lost. But shot selection at the last shot was a little too quick. But, But we need better role players on this team. We just do. And particularly when you have a team that has a Joel Embiid that's going to get hurt every year, you need a better backup center. I'm glad B-Ball Paul's out of here. Bamba, those guys that give you nothing. I want a better backup center. They need that. This team needs one more than any other team in the league. So they got to find that guy. They got to find the guy that's going to give you good minutes after. If Joel, he needs a rest. Or during the season, if you sit him out a game or two. The guy comes in and gives you good minutes, solid minutes. Contributes. That's what I want this offseason. Guys that are going to come in and contribute and give you good minutes. Because unless we get that, it's going to be the same crap next May, next April and May, out in the first or second round. Anyhow, I know you're all bored of me talking about the Philly teams, but it's what's in my heart, man. I love these teams, man. I want to have success. And I just think that every year it's like there's little things that these teams could do that can give us that success, and they don't seem to know how to put it all together. And the Phillies have done a great job, and they have to finish it, though. But they've done a great job of putting that team together, building, acquisitions with players that came out of the minor league system. It's a really good mix. And for the first time in a long time, I can officially say that, this is a team that we're going to have exciting seasons with for a prolonged period of time. The Eagles, look, they're always in go-for-it mode. I know some years are better than others, but I believe in that organization and that franchise that they're going to put it together to put this team in a position where they're going to be in the hunt year after year. I can say that with the Eagles because I've seen it. I can say that with the Phillies because I've seen it. I can't quite say that with the Sixers. They're a good team. They have a unicorn player in Joel Embiid. They have another really good player in Tyrese Maxey. I do believe they have a good coach in Nick Nurse, but they have to find those other pieces, and that seems to be what's this team's biggest handcuff year after year is finding those other pieces. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, but they have to find a way. The Flyers, I believe in the direction they're going in. Particularly if they can get, Mishkov from Russia. I think that's a big step. Because they need that signature player. They don't have that. And Travis Konecny's a nice player. He's not a signature player. They need that signature player. And hopefully it's Mishkov. Maybe it's putting too much on him, but hopefully it's him. On the Ben Franklin Bridge now, we're in Jersey right now. But yeah, man, I have a lot of passion for these teams. We've been through a lot, and I was just watching one of those. I still have to catch up on Welcome to Wrexham, of course, with McElhaney, Philly's own. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Ryan Reynolds, right? So I really like that series. Like I said, I like sports docuseries, and that's kind of what this is. And I know very little about soccer, but I know enough to appreciate it, and I know how fanatical the fans are with their sport. And we look, they have the team in Wrexham, and You know, there's some Eagles ties there. With McElhaney a part of it, that one of their soccer kids is in Eagles colors. It's cool, you know. I even saw in one of the episodes, you see someone in the stands wearing an Eagles hat. In Wales. So it's like, yeah, I mean, cool, right? It's an international team, they are. But, starting the season in Brazil against the Packers. But I like that series, but I kind of fell off of it for a bit. And through Hulu, you can watch all the episodes. So I'm still catching up I'm on season 2, and one of the episodes was talking about second place because Wrexham, and don't give anything away, I still have to catch up, so don't tell me what happens. Wrexham is one of those teams that always had bad luck. Like they had a really good season points wise, and they still finished just out of being able to advance up into the next group of play to be promoted. And it's like there's a lot of kind of ties to that, to being a Philly sports fan, because you want your team to win so much, you're so invested in it, and they just let you down. And it was the episode where Rob was talking about, he was at the MLS championship game where the Union lost to the LAFC, so they came in second place. Then at the World Series in 2022, when the Phillies lost to Houston, and they came in second place. Then the Super Bowl, where the Eagles lost to Kansas City in Super Bowl 57, and they came in second place. And now with Wrexham, it's kind of the same thing. Listen, we wear this stuff like a badge. It's almost, I don't want to say it's a badge of honor, but you have to, being a Philly fan, you got to deal with a lot of disappointment. I'm not saying we're the only fan base that does this. I do feel fortunate that I saw a World Series title. I saw a Super Bowl. God, I'm thankful for that still. I've been to 2 parades. I've had a lot of fun. I saw 2, national championships, Villanova. Now their players beat the Sixers in the playoffs. But I've had some success with these teams. Pro-wise, for sure, it's been trying and challenging. But I am happy that at least the Phillies are doing what they're doing. Even though the Eagles season finished the way it did last year, as I said before, I have hope that this organization, at least they know how to put a winning team on the field. And they that you can't argue that. They've done it. Draft picks obviously have to pan out. I like how they drafted. I mean, they went defense, which is what they had to do. They went secondary. They brought in Jeremiah Trotter's kid, which is cool. It's the heartstrings. But obviously the players have to pan out. And that's the way it is in all sports. Winning sports is a tough thing. Winning championships is very difficult. You have to have everything go right. You have to have luck on your side. You have to have health for the most part on your side. Although the Eagles' one lone Super Bowl championship was when they were at their probably least healthy of the Super Bowls they've played in. But you have to have, I'm going to run this light, I can't stop. You have to have a lot go your way. And the Philly teams, it just seems, more times than not, things get in the way instead of going our way. But we wear it like a badge of honor. It's just, we get kicked in the gut a lot. We get groin punched every year just about. But we're still, every year we're there hoping and saying, hey, coming up with reasons why we can win. We get ridiculed a lot for a lot of things we do. And I get that. It kind of comes with the territory. I've come to kind of deal with it now. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, I wouldn't want to be anything else. This is home. It's always going to be home. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to move somewhere. I know I'm wearing Avalanche stuff today, but I love my Philly teams. They're always going to be part of me. And I get upset, and I might post stuff on social media or whatever, but it's like being a parent. You every now and then you have to reprimand your kids, And It's the same with these teams. They just, boy, they find different ways. Every time you think you've seen enough, you're going to find another way. But I like I said, there's too much Philly in me. I can't change my stripes. That's not going to happen. What you see is what you're going to get. And I know I have a lot of jerseys and gear, hats and stuff for a lot of different teams, including what I'm wearing now. I have other teams I like to watch, but they're never going to be replacing any of the Philly teams. That's not going to happen. I'm a Flyers fan first. I like the Avalanche. I always have. They're my Western team, but they'll never replace the Flyers. And if they ever played each other in the Cup Finals, I'll root for the Flyers all the way. All right, well, we're getting to Haddonfield Road. I can't forget the name of this road. This is Michael Myers Road. This is where the Cherry Hill Mall is. There is a way to get there from here, too, but this is a bit of a shortcut. As in Jersey, they have a lot of roads that are circles. And if you get on the wrong circle, you're going to have a problem. I didn't really talk a lot about jerseys today and, sports apparel because there really hasn't been a lot. Like I said, I showed you the Tampa Bay, City Connect yesterday. I really like that look. I saw the other day Hat Club dropped the NHL pack, and they haven't done one like that in quite a while, and I hope it's more to come. And a lot of those hats sold out right away. Like I don't know. I think the only one, if I were to go after any of them, it would have been the Coyotes hat, and that's instantly sold out. I think anything Coyotes now is going to move because obviously the team's probably is going to be moving to Utah. So it was a really nice hat though, with the inaugural patch on the side. But being the fact that that one did so well, you're probably going to see them, maybe other companies, if they can get the rights, make more of those, hats. And it's anytime a hat does well and it becomes like an instant seller, you'll see other hat companies try to make it. Because look, they're not dumb. They know what's popular, what moves. So they're going to try to get on that bandwagon, right? So I would imagine as long as they can get the rights, you're going to see more, Arizona Phoenix or Arizona Coyotes hats pop up with the inaugural. And I do hope to get one someday because I have those old Coyotes jerseys. I have a Jeremy Roenick, which I got way back in the day when he was there. I have actually I have a couple of JR jerseys because I have their alternate one too, the alternate green one, and I have a Keith Tkachuk Coyotes too. So I got 3 jerseys, really 2 of the 3 that hat would go really well with, and I didn't know about right away, and it's a shame because if I could have gotten that hat, it would have gone perfect. I talk about Kambawamba, it would have gone perfect with that because I have a white Kachina Keith Tkachuk jersey. It would have gone perfect with it, but such is life. I'm hopeful though that other companies can make it. Maybe there'll be a way of getting it. Maybe in the future, maybe even like a Toppers USA store can get it and do like a pre-order or something like that. So maybe I can grab one. I do have a trying to think. I don't even know, to be quite. I think I missed my turn. Maybe I'll turn here. This might be it actually. Yeah, this is it. I know I have a couple of hats that can go with Coyote jerseys. I don't know if I have a real true Kachina hat. And it's a cool logo. I am surprised that you don't. I guess the licensing rights is just tough to get, but I am surprised you don't see it more. So that old Coyotes logo. So hopefully the fact that hat did so well, And if the licensing rights aren't too tough to get, hopefully we'll start seeing more of that. Because, yeah, I mean, I'm certainly down for, NHL hats, particularly the fitteds, because as others can tell you, there hasn't been a lot of really good fitted NHL hats for a number of years. Maybe on like some team sites, store sites. I know I saw the Oilers, the Edmonton Oilers team store site has a really nice little selection of fitteds for the Oilers, one of which I'll probably try to get because it goes with all my Oilers jerseys. But it is becoming a more difficult thing to find, and particularly with the fact that New Era, I think they lost the rights to the NHL hats. So, although I think the ones that Hat Club made were New Era, so maybe it's getting a little better. I know in some team stores you'll find New Era fitteds. The Flyers don't. I don't think they have any there at the Wells Fargo. But it was a nice little pack. I know Mitchell & Ness has gotten back into hockey, and they're making fitteds and such. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't New Era. It was a Mitchell & Ness pack that came out. Really nice looking. Like I said, that Coyotes boy, if Mitchell & Ness could, get some more of those out. Flagship store, you guys listening to this? Huh? We need some Coyotes hats, fitteds with the inaugural on the side. I'll be right down for it. I will come down to that store and. It might be my only way of getting one as quick as these damn things sell out online. But yeah, it was a Mitchell & Ness pack. That's right. It wasn't New Era, and really nice looking pack. Nice set of hats. I guess it was a Hat Club exclusive. I don't believe they're on Mitchell & Ness's site as well. I know they have similar hats to some of them. Like the Sharks one, I know I've seen Mitchell & Ness do in the past. There's been others. Not exactly like that, though. So it was a nice little pack, and they sold out. They people didn't mess around with them. I didn't know right away, so I was oblivious until later in the day. I saw the deal from Hat Crawler on the Discord site for Views from the Vault, and I saw that Coyotes hat. I clicked on the link for it, and it was obviously already sold out. I'm like, oh, okay. But hopefully the fact that they did well means that there'll be others created and there'll be more availability for them out there. Like I said, it seems to do that with hats. You'll see a hat do real well, particularly something with a particular side patch, and all of a sudden, Now, it might be a little more tricky for the NHL because I still think there's an issue there with New Era. So we're just going to have to hope, at least for the time being, that Mitchell & Ness pumps out more of them, because they did pretty good, and I'm sure Mitchell & Ness saw that. So like, Coyotes hats, huh? That's again why I'm glad that they got the licensing back, because they can make these things happen. I know people sometimes complain about the brims or whatever, Mitchell, but again, if they make them, there's availability to get them. So it is what it is. So we'll see. The time will tell with that one. But a nice set by Mitchell & Ness and by Hat Club. That was a pretty cool, no pun intended there, pretty cool looking set. Anyhow, I'm at the Cherry Hill Mall now. I'm going to go. Thanks for tuning in here for me, if I can speak right, for about going on 54 minutes. A little drive in the rain here. We had some narrow misses here on the school. Driving like, oh, God. Oh, my. Wasn't that a lot of traffic? I was glad. I was a little worried as I was making that turn to the Vine Street Expressway, but then it started free-flowing after that, which is good. I like to get here early, particularly on a weekend, because that Vine Street, it can get jammed. So I try to beat that. When I get going home is what I get, but coming here, I like to try to get here, at a decent time. Anyhow, the mall is open. It's after 11 a.m., and I'm going to go in and see what I can see. I know there's some pins I saw at Pro Image that I have some interest in. I do want to start getting more pins on hats. I know it's something that I haven't done a lot of. And there's some really nice pins out there, particularly for the Fanatic, that I would like to get on some of my Fanatic hats and some Phillies hats. People are like pin artists with hats. Like the way they put their pins on hats. I'm not a huge pin on the hat guy, but you know, here and there. And there's some really nice ones that have come out. Pro Image, Cherry Hill Mall, put that on their story this week. You know, you get those little souvenir baseball helmets with the ice cream. So they made some pins for that with a Fanatic, and I think that would be kind of cool to put on a hat. So we'll see if I can pick up some of those, and if I do, I'll show them in the next episode. But you know, that and just looking around, this lids in here, I'll tell you, it's the best friggin' lids. They always have great selection, and you know, I haven't been here in a minute, so gonna take a look in there. Probably hit Rally House, just look around. Mainly, I'm here to look. You know, maybe pick up a couple pins. You know, if they have a nice looking hat, maybe. But you know, there's other events I have to do this billing cycle. Got some baseball games to go to and such, so I can't go too crazy. But anyhow, I'm here. I'm gonna go, and thank you all for joining in. What do you always gotta do? Leave those likes, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the bell icon so you're notified to all future content from yours truly. You never want to miss an episode. Whether I'm ranting and raving about our Philly teams or picking up sports, you know, wear, it's just you never want to miss it. So, thanks as always to all the continued support to the channel. And this is MightyFan signing off for now. I'll see you in the next one. Y'all take care.